Dihessa here. I am sharing something so good with you in this video, something that in so many ways has saved my life, and I am not exaggerating when I say that. It is the acupressure point in your body that you can utilize to quit procrastinating. The acupressure point in your body that actually, once I started releasing tension there, has released my anxiety. And I'm sharing all the details with you here so that you can now start taking action more consistently, even when you have fear, even when you have emotions that come up, so that you can reap the results in your business, so that you can make more money, so that you can have more of an impact with your presence in the world. So the first thing I want to do is I want to share with you the very first time I realized that stimulating this acupressure point in your body was so powerful at really like helping you follow through with your action and feeling motivated and all the things around it, right? So this was when I lived in Maryland at the time, and I remember I was learning at the time. I was a web designer, and I was just starting out at learning online marketing for growing. At the time, what I was wanting to do is grow my web design business, right? I was learning all these strategies for creating content and putting your work out there and all the things around it. And even like those were the times when I was starting to learn about like how to create a video and all these things around it. And I spent so much time, my goodness, I spent so much time learning. Right now I know that definitely has an impact, because when we're learning so much, and I'll talk about it in a minute, when we're inputting so much information inside of our brain, which there's nothing wrong with that, but like when we know the impacts that it has, and we can manage ourselves better, right? So at the time I was inputting a lot of information inside of my brain, because I was just learning new things. And then little did I know that the more you input information inside of your brain, the more it actually kind of like irritates this acupressure point. Then like it has this ripple effect of chicken and egg and chicken, where it feels like, you know, like one thing is causing you to procrastinate, and at the same time like the other way around. And so I was learning all these things, but some way somehow I actually wouldn't take action. I learned it, but I wouldn't trigger the action. I wouldn't do it, right? And sometimes when I would do it, I would take the first step and then I'll just give up. Like I wouldn't follow through. Now I know that the reason behind it was because, you know, I was so overwhelmed by by my own fears, by my own emotions, and simply was because I didn't know how to manage them. I didn't even know how to manage my emotions at the time, so much so that I wasn't following through. Like when I'll make one move and then there was no instant reaction, for example, I was like, okay, this is not working, like all the things that happened. So I wasn't following through with my actions. Or even beyond that, there were a lot of things that I was saying in my head that I'm going to do this. I was daydreaming about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I was so in my head. But I wouldn't take action. I wouldn't do the thing. Right? I wouldn't do the things. Until one day, at the time, this was my energy mentor at the time. She could clearly tell. Right, like I went for training with her, and she could clearly tell that you know, like my anyways, like I'm going to say what the acupressure point now is. It was my solar plexus. My solar plexus was quite irritated, and as a matter of fact, I've been doing like energetic blueprint sessions for so many humans now in my business, and it's been so interesting to see just how many humans have that energy center, that solar plexus, kind of irritated, kind of like having like a lot of stagnant energy in there. Anyways, I digress, right? She could clearly tell that I had that condition. How she can tell is how much I was in my head all the time. She couldn't tell that I wasn't digesting my food very well. But one of the side effects that you can see is that like the solar plexus, which is like now moving into like energy talk here, energetic system talk here, like the third chakra is literally about your stomach, like the organs that are connected to that are your stomach and your liver, right? And so if you have any issue with your liver, which hello, because I used to suppress my emotions, specifically anger, all the time. Now it's a whole other story. But like, yes, I had lots of stagnant energy on my liver, and I also had lots of stagnant energy on my stomach. I couldn't digest my food. I was chronically, when I say chronically, I mean chronically constipated, like constipated. And to me, like at some point I didn't even think about it because it was the norm, right? It was the norm. I thought it was the norm, but it wasn't, right? But the how it showed up was that like even when it came to taking action, like I wouldn't take action. Like I had the beautiful ideas, I learned all these things, but I felt so stuck, right? I wouldn't take action, right? And by the way, like even when we're talking about personal power, for example, hello, do you know that it's connected to that, right? That third chakra, that the solar plexus. Anyways, I digress. So the day that I discovered how powerful this is, so I went to have like a special training with my energy mentor at the time. She could clearly tell that there was something up with my solar plexus. And so we did this really deep training, right? With the solar plexus, where there was a lot of tapping, a lot of activation, like, oh my God, like I feel like we probably trained like just the solar plexus for a whole hour. Throughout this hour, like I felt all sorts of sensation on my solar plexus. I felt like these like transitions of heat, cold energy coming out of me. I felt like this like itchy sensation. I was like I couldn't help myself. I needed to really scratch myself. My whole entire like it actually like moved from like the scratch, like I'm feeling the itchy sensation from my solar plexus area all the way to then I started feeling itchy sensation on my whole entire body, like lots of burning, lots of yawning, lots of like we shook all that energy out. And at the time I actually didn't know what the hell was happening. But what I remember is by the time I was heading home, this was in like an evening training. By the time I was heading home, I felt so light in my body. My God, I felt so light in my body. I was like, wow, like what is this? What is this? And then I went home, right? And it was evening, so obviously it was time to go to bed and stuff like that. The next morning, I digested very well, but beyond that, right? Beyond that, something that like really blew my mind was all the things that I had been procrastinating on doing for days, for months. I just did them one after another. I felt like Easter Bunny. Is it Easter Bunny? No. That, like, you know what I mean. What is it called? It's not Easter Bunny. It's Energizer Bunny. There you go. Energizer Bunny. It's like I was doing one thing after the other. One thing after the other. I was like, well, how? Why? Like, how? Why is this working? Obviously now I know the power of your solar plexus. I utilize it in my creation all the time. We all know this, like no action, no creation, right? But a lot of the times when we are filled with fears, especially like I even experienced this recently, like last week of all times, right? Which is why I really felt inspired as well to really create this video, because even though I know this, the body never lies. Your body never lies to you. Sometimes some of the reasons why your solar plexus might get irritated or like have lots of stagnant energy in there, then that will then create you not wanting to take action or follow through or move, right? Sometimes it's simply because like the starting thing was because you are maybe nervous, right? Because there's a certain level of anxiety around something, right? So you may have seen I posted a video recently which was all about me really like deciding and taking, taking action on really putting myself out there in a bigger way than I've ever done before. And to create that video, it was quite nerve-wracking for me, right? And I remember this was just a few days ago, okay? And I knew I wanted to create the video, but like a part of me was so anxious about it. And I knew this is what I was doing, but I couldn't help myself. I was like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do another day. I'll do it 2 days from now. I kept postponing, but the real reason why I kept postponing was that, oh my God, it's like I was nervous about it. I was worried about it. I had anxiety about it, right? Because I had fears around it. But the thing that I want to talk about here is that it's how the moment I started having that, like that angst and blah, 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 and I was in my head about it, what it did is that it then affected my body, right? It then affected my body. Then all of a sudden, my body, like my solar plexus became tight. Right, my solar plexus began tight, and then it's the chicken and egg thing. So then it exasperated me not wanting to create that damn video anymore. Right? It's like, oh my God, now my solar plexus is like completely shut down, and oh my God, like now I cannot. But what I know, what I utilize to actually break through that is, yes, I started doing like what I do to open up my solar plexus. But it came to a point where I realized that the only way to actually make those nerves go away was to take the action, right? Was to actually take the action. And then when I took the action, it kind of liberated my whole solar plexus. So why am I sharing this, right? So you may be familiar with the fact that in this body, you may, you kind of have, this is where I'm going to go a little bit crazy and cuckoo on you if you have never heard this kind of notion before. But the fact of the matter is, what I know is that we have kind of different bodies. We have like your physical body, you have your energy body, which is also your emotional body. And then we also have the spiritual body, which is just like information, the information that we carry, right? And so like, all these bodies interact with each other, right? Because I was worried, because in my head, blah, 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 all these things that were happening, it really impacted my energy body, which then impacted my physical body. And so why am I sharing this here? I'm sharing because like when we know this, then we can manage ourselves. When you know this, then you can manage yourself. When you catch yourself, like I can promise you, if you're in a space where you keep procrastinating, you keep not following through with your action, or you having a hard time with like your personal power and like blaming, like I caught myself, right? I'm not somebody who's usually blaming other people for whatever happens to me, but when my solar plexus was so tight, and then I had all these emotions coming up, even like jealousy coming up and all these things, I caught myself blaming other people, like they're the reason, blah, blah, blah. When technically I know, right? But I couldn't help. I couldn't help what was happening inside of my energy. I couldn't help what was happening inside of my emotions, right? And I knew that like one way to really quit this, right? Number one, I had to decide that I was going to make the video, which then I started breathing deeper, right? But at the same time, simultaneously, I used what I used to open up my solar plexus to open up the solar plexus so that I can really gain the fuel to propel me into taking the action, which is what I did. And the moment I did, my digestion became very smooth again, and then I could really take action with all the other things that I had been a little bit procrastinating on for a while. Now you are going to ask me, Dihessa, how do I open up my solar plexus? How do I open up my third chakra? The very first thing that you can do, right, is simply by stimulating that solar plexus. You can do it simply by tapping your solar plexus area. Your solar plexus is about 2 inches above your belly button. I'll make sure that I insert a clip here where I'm showing you exactly how to locate your solar plexus. And simply by tapping actually your solar plexus for a while, you can start feeling heat generating. You can start like, if you can even start feeling like that itchy sensation. Even if you tapped for just 5 to 10 minutes, you can add like music that you like, and then just like be in the groove. Focus. That's very important. Keep your focus on your body as you tapping. You can really start feeling a big difference, right? There is one even more powerful way for you to open up your solar plexus so that you can take action and reap the results in your business. and that it's something to really experience, and I share it. I often share it in my Golden Aura 5-day challenge. And like, it has been so incredible how like people come and have that experience in there and be like, how is this happening? How come I've been like, those things that I've been sitting on for weeks, all of a sudden I did it. All of a sudden I created the video. All of a sudden, it's because it works, right? So at the moment I'm creating this video, I don't know if by the time I post it, Golden Aura will still be live. If it's still live, then you can, there'll be a link below this video so that you can attend a Golden Aura challenge. If it's not, perhaps you might join the wait list, and we'll let you know when the next time comes, right? I hope this has been very helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Thank you for watching.